1989 was a day Berliners thought would never happen: the opening of the wall. For a solid week, East Germans poured into the West. The Cold War was over. Today, Germany is again one nation, with Berlin as its capital.
It must have been that smile, so tempting, so rich with feeling. Or was it those eyes, so sparkling bright, so moving?
And people said,
"Go East, my boy! Go East, go East, go East, my boy! Go East, my boy!"
There was something about Berlin that I really liked, but I couldn't put my finger on it. As a born Cincinnatian, I had spent the last 10 years covering big news stories throughout the world. But covering Berlin was the most rewarding experience of my life. I'm Peter Dolle, a TV correspondent in Berlin. I love showing other Americans my new city.
Oh yes, I don't want to go home. I wish I could postpone my trip later. I don't want to leave tomorrow. At least I'll have to come back and then maybe an exchange program or just on my own for half a year or something like that. It'll be okay.
Aaron Johnson and 5 other American students won a week-long trip to Germany sponsored by the Berlin government and the Goethe Institute. They wanted to see the changes Berlin has undergone since the collapse of the wall.
To see the changes, see the contrast between what I flew over in the airplane of East Germany and how that's different from West Germany, and contrasting between.
I'd like to see East Berlin. That was probably the most important thing for me, to see that and to see how it is now, and how much different it is from West Berlin and West Germany.
Well, I want to see how much is left of the wall. All my friends say, "Well, bring me back a piece." So I said, "Well, I don't know how much there's left, but I want to, see how much they've torn down, and visiting the mirrors is going to be fun."
The wall ran about 100 miles around the west side of Berlin. Workers have taken away most of the concrete slabs, but as Bob is discovering, large chunks of the wall will be lying around for years. When the wall was built in 1961, it looked like this. East Germany built the wall to stop their people from moving into West Berlin. That was where the Americans were. Shortly after that, the Russians, along with the East Germans, again tried to kick the Americans and their friends out of town. At Checkpoint Charlie, American tanks were ready for war. President John F. Kennedy supported Berlin, saying, "I am a Berliner."
All free men, wherever they may live, are citizens of Berlin. And therefore, as a free man, I take pride in the words, "Ich bin ein Berliner."
Kennedy called Berlin a symbol of world freedom. The Freedom Bell, donated by the Americans, still rings at Schöneberg City Hall. The wall cut many neighborhoods in half. Until recently, Catherine Heilman saw the wall every day when she woke up. It was in her backyard, just 30 feet away from her bedroom window. As an East German, she was not allowed to visit her neighbors on the other side of the wall. She and her family gave up waving to them 20 years ago.
My first impressions of the wall, I was 3 years old, and then we come here in this house, and so I see the wall for 20 years, yes, and so I think it's a part of my life.
Border guards like these had orders to shoot East Germans trying to climb over the wall. These guards would change shifts several times a day. There were thousands of daring escapes, many in small cars like this one. But about 100 people were not so lucky. They were killed at the foot of the wall in no man's land. The West wanted the wall down.
General Secretary Gorbachev, if you seek peace, if you seek prosperity for the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe, if you seek liberalization, come here to this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate.
And so he did by pushing democracy and allowing East Germans to make up their own minds. East Germans remember that day well.
I went to West Berlin just the night when the wall went down. My father woke me up, and we went over. And we were a bit frightened because of coming back and all these things. And it was really a great feeling to pass the checkpoint with all the constructions there to defeat people going over to the same city.
Today, from a U.S. Army helicopter, the view looks like this. The scar where the wall once stood is still not healed. No man's land, the old death strip, looks like a film set. This area has now become a novelty. The old death strip is totally open. Even to the Trabi, East Germany's tiny but popular car.
Yes. It's floored right now.
I don't know what I'm doing. It won't shift.
You're gonna smash us into a wall.
Okay,
Ruin this
shift it,
guy's
shift
car.
it.
We're all gonna die.
To that.
Broke his car.
Oh!
It must have been that smile, so tempting, so rich with feeling. Or was it those eyes, so sparkling bright, so moving?
And people said,
Go east, my boy. Go east, go east, go east, my boy. Go east, my boy.
there are no speed limits on many German highways or autobahns. Cars and motorcycles made in Berlin and Western Germany are fast and well built. World-famous BMW motorcycles are made in Berlin. Thousands of people work here. This factory is highly automated, but no one can find a machine that paints better pinstripes on BMW motorcycles than this Berlin woman and her fellow workers.
I want like a screen in front of me so it like feels like I'm driving.
When the wall opened and the communists allowed TV reporters to roam around in the East, we were shocked. Many things were falling apart, and the communists did nothing about it.
I didn't think that any government could let an area get to the point where, you know, just with my little knowledge that I know, some areas almost seem dangerous. They seemed like, you know, looking at this house going, I don't want to go in there. What if it collapses?
Many companies in the East have already gone bankrupt, partly because their products were old-fashioned and too expensive. Many workers in Eastern Germany worry about losing their jobs. At a private meeting, the governing mayor of Berlin, Eberhard Diepken, told our group to explore Eastern Germany and ask questions.
You must ask them about their feeling in the old system and their hopes they have in the new developments now.
Our class today
There are big problems in Eastern Germany, but many Easterners, like Cornelius, told us things will turn out for the best.
Well, I'm optimistic because I think we'll manage it, and but I don't know. But I don't think the situation is hopeless because, yeah.
Today, German officials say they need 30,000 Western yuppies to help companies in the East stay alive. Many American companies, like the Central European Development Corporation, are already here. This company is building a hotel and a business center here on the old Checkpoint Charlie.
I came here because I believe this is the most exciting business opportunity in the world today and will be for the next 10 and 20 years, that there will be the highest rates of growth here of anywhere in the world, and ultimately the most money to be made.
Many American businessmen are learning German at the Goethe Institute. Young Americans feel a little high school German goes a long way.
Yeah, I didn't have any problem. Just short, simple, easy sentences, and they understood it. One of them even tried to carry on a conversation in German. That I had a problem with. He thought I was German.
Years ago, the Russians were considered the bad guys, and communism was the enemy. Many people thought the next World War would be fought over Berlin. After World War II, the first high-level contact between the winning allies took place in Potsdam. This was where the Americans, the Russians, and British debated how to rebuild Germany. Our group relived that conference. Shortly after this conference, the Russians stopped talking to the Americans and their friends. And suddenly the Russians and the East Germans tried to kick the Americans out of town. They blocked the roads leading into West Berlin, forcing the Americans and friends to fly in food for nearly 2.5 million people. This relief operation became known as the Berlin Airlift. Over 1 year later, the communists reopened the roads, but tension between the East and West continued. Today, one of the so-called Raisin bombers is on display at an old U.S. Air Force base in western Berlin.
It really is hard to believe that this is where everything happened. It seems so peaceful.
Peaceful because the Russians are now part of the gang. American students found the Russians pretty much like themselves. This encounter took place outside the Potsdam Conference Villa. The Russians are now moving out of eastern Germany and leaving lots of things behind.
Great. Oh, that fits. Fits? Yeah, oh. What's that? You look good.
Hot-selling items in Berlin these days are Russian Army uniforms and memorabilia.
Who do I have here?
It still hasn't hit me that I'm in Europe. I just can't believe I'm in about 4,000 miles from home.
At least I found the Germans are not the way they're perceived in the United States. You know, stiff-necked and disciplined. They're really loose and open.
Some 10,000 Americans now live in Berlin. Many Americans, like musician Tom Cunningham, are married to Germans and have lived in the city for many years.
I would never give up on Berlin totally because I have so many roots here in the city and so many friends and so many, I just feel at home here. So Berlin will always be a place I'll come back to.
Tom's latest record is a hit in Berlin. He says the city attracts artists and musicians from all over the world.
Okay, one take, boys. Come on, let's go.
Boys.
It was a perfect Berlin connection. I laid your picture on my desk. My heart pounded when I saw that smile. Then almost overnight, my savings swell. I've got a new purpose, 'cause I'm bonkers over you. I hopped on a flight bound for Berlin with a box of chocolates and swim trunks under one arm. I'm gearing up for a hot summer. My dreams are coming true. This boy's in orbit. He's wild about you.
It must have been that smile, so tempting, so rich with feeling. Or was it those eyes, so sparkling bright, so moving?
And people said,
Go east, my boy.
Go east, go east, go east, my boy.
Go east, my boy.
Go east, go east, go east, my boy.
This is the new Berlin, the new Europe. Berlin is proud to host the Goethe Institute's first place winners. Jason Heminger tells us how he won the Berlin trip at his school.
Well, I just had my interview about an hour before. He narrowed it down to like 5 semifinalists, and we were interviewed. And about an hour later, I got the call, and I was told I won. I was really surprised. I was very happy, but I was really shocked. I didn't know what to do at first.
Berlin is moving forward. It is pulling Europe together, bridging East and West. Berlin reflects a changing Europe. Come and see these historic changes yourself.